Yefimovich Chapter 3. General Vozda, we have the largest air fleet in the world, only outnumbered by the Landavengler. I like to think we are superior, but that's a personal bias. Please, General, paint us a portrait of our initial defense against the Holle Air Force. Our defense in the north will have 2 carriers. Voz started twirling his fingers, giving flight to model planes as they buzzed over the location he was discussing. One facing the Holle Navy head-on, and the other at its flank in Mongnolarium. There we will have our elite aviator squadron as support and attack during the initial battle. Our air fleet here in Yisra will support our troops within our country, and we will have a small group in the south with our naval fleet in the Landavengler Sea. We are well positioned on all fronts, sir, Voz concluded, lowering the mock planes onto the wood ships floating buoyantly on the water, moisture dumped into the mapped board. Generals, I want to thank you for your candid and vivid descriptions of the battle yet to be. Unfortunately, there is much more to discuss. So before I arrived, I arranged to have food catered for. Edic, how are we faring on the forecast of cost on this war? Yefimovich continued the meeting, letting Edic have the floor to speak. The sun soon rose from its horizon base to its high point of noon. The sky was cloudless, the air dry, but inside the war room light was shaded and the air stagnant. Mouths had fallen silent from hours of discussion, and minds turned to mush as they could no longer hold any more information for the times of turbulence ahead. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my mind has been burned to a crisp, and my jaw can no longer speak an eloquent word. Let us call this meeting to an end. Thank you for all your time and for your service. Yefimovich took his stones and cast his cane, shaking a few hands before leaving the room. He saw Aero approach him as he walked outside in the cool desert air. His face reddened from its icy nature, as did his nose. "How did it go, sir?" Aero asked with a salute. "It went well. We all seemed to be on the same page," he answered tiredly. "That's good to hear." "It's good to say," he smiled, his eyes drooping from fatigue. Yefimovich shut his eyes, letting the rhythm of the car lull him to sleep. When he awoke, he sat outside Sesam Palace. Aero was still sitting in the drive with gentle words, trying to wake up the Prime Minister until his eyes cracked to see the light. "Prime Minister, we're here, sir," Aero said to him. "Oh, thank you, Aero. Sorry to have dozed off. I'll see you tomorrow for dinner," said Yefimovich before exiting the hovercraft. "Yes, sir." "Very well. Good day, Aero." Yefimovich departed, closing the door and waving goodbye, only to be greeted by Rivka as he left the vehicle. "Good afternoon, sir." Rivka was there to welcome him home, standing with great posture and full of purpose in her poise. "Good afternoon, Rivka. Is my family home yet?" he asked. "No, sir. They should be home within the hour," she replied. "Wonderful." His voice was slightly chipper after his nap on the ride home. "Did Victoria say anything about dinner?" "No, Prime Minister. You do have a letter, though, sir." She handed him a small tube with a crown top. The contents inside revealed the letter, double-waxed, sealed with an image of an eagle whose wings were spread, but whose head was bowed. The other stamp was of a charging deer, with antlers big and mighty. Rivka gathered his work materials, and the two entered the great home. While Rivka brought his belongings into his office, Yefimovich cracked the seals and opened the letter. "Yefimovich and the Nemtsov family, we cordially invite you to a celebration in honor of our 2 sons, Absalom and Ilas. Come join our festive ceremony as they become men on their 18th birthday. We hope to see you and your family here. Love always, your dear friend, Robert." Yefimovich rolled the parchment up and stowed it away in his back pocket. It wasn't long before Victoria and his daughter arrived home. Yefimovich sat in the library reading a book by an author named Thomas Wolfe. He threw a ribbon in the page he was reading and closed the novel as his wife and daughter walked into the room. "My beautiful girls, how are you?" he asked them glowingly. "We're wonderful, Yeffy. How was the meeting?" Victoria asked. "Hey, Dad," Yekaterina squeezed in a hello with a blue smile drawn across her face. The meeting went quite well. How was your trip, Kat? Yefimovich asked. Somewhat fruitless, but it was nice to see the Framsins again. Enoch says you should come visit. Kat spoke with a false sense of happiness in her voice. I have a feeling we'll see him very soon. Katerina and Victoria looked at him quizzically. Why did you say that, Yeffy? Victoria asked. Because Robert's sons are celebrating their birthdays in 2 weeks. He pulled out the invitation. And we've been invited to go. That should be fun, Victoria said gleefully. Speaking of birthdays, mine is next week. Katerina reminded her parents. We haven't forgotten, my dear Kat. Yefimovich hugged his daughter tightly. What did you get me? She asked, her tone more delighted than moments ago. You'll have to ask your mother if I can tell you that. Yekaterina looked over at her mother, who was looking at Yefimovich, a puzzled look, and nodded her approval. Yekaterina grabbed her father's hands. What is it, Dad? She asked again, eyes beaming with curiosity. Well, you should unpack, and then pack again. We're going island hopping in the Hivohe Islands. He penciled a smile across his face. When do we leave? Katerina asked, with joy in her voice. In 2 days, Yefimovich answered. I'd better get packing then. Thanks, Mum and Dad. She kissed them both upon their cheeks and hurried out of the room with Rivka at her side. I think she needs this after such a difficult week, Victoria said to her husband. Is that what you wanted to tell me this morning? It was, and I think we all need this. It may very well be our last family vacation that we'll have in a long time. Yefimovich spoke stayedly. The night crept up on the day, and as Yefimovich walked the halls of the palace, he could hear the soft pouts of a young woman, and when her sullen cries hit his heart, it began to slowly crack, lining it with heavy fractures until it shattered into fragments sprinkled on the ground. He opened the door of his daughter's room. Her face was buried in her pillow as the blue moon shined down upon her cheeks, mourning the same song as she. He rested his hand on her back. Katerina, was all he said. She didn't respond to her father, but instead tried to calm her emotions. My beautiful girl, why are you crying? He knew the answer, but he also knew that the best way to handle failure was to admit failure and to confront failure. Yefimovich moved the hair that was hiding her face. Her eyes were puffy and red. She sat up with her knees to her chest as she looked to see her father's face. Dad, I failed, she said with a tear streaming down her gentle rosy cheek. I failed you. I failed Enoch and I failed our people. She struggled to let the words out. My dear Kat, failure is a part of life. We will fail in the simplest of tasks, and we will fail in our hardest endeavors. Life is about enduring our failures and how we are able to rise above them. A better person, a stronger person. When I was a weaker man in mind and in body, I was ashamed of my stutter. It crippled me because I let it cripple me. But when I met your mother, she saw something within me that I never saw. She saw the best me, one not brought down by a stutter, but one who could rise above it. We went all round the world looking for a cure, and came across a novelist, a poet named Edric Oak. He lived in Blath, and nearly cured me of it, he said to his daughter. How did he do that? She asked, her eyes now dried, but still a pinkish red. He had me read his poetry, learn its stanzas, and study its structure. The first poem he had me read was of endurance, Yefimovich told her. Do you remember how it goes? His daughter asked. Very much so. Can I hear it? She asked with great interest. Yefimovich cleared his throat, closed his eyes, and when they opened again, the words of rhythm flowed through the river of his tongue. I have dreamed a dream of a place where I belong, and in this dream I am elated of all these things my dream created. But how did I get here? If not by fortune, it must be fate, a grand design from heaven's gate? No, for it was something more. It is the virtue of endurance, a simple word, a common occurrence. But what is it I must endure? The answer is simple, for it is life. You must brave its struggles and its strife, for life is not a golden road. It is laid by you brick by brick, and though your road may twist and turn, each brick you lay, you will earn. So as you lay your yellow block, take a moment to look back. Of all the things you did once lack, then look forward at the empty space, and there you'll see your dream awaits. Now you stand where you belong, from the road you built that made you strong. But you must endure this one last quarrel, for every day your dream will crumble, and in its torture you must be humble. For you will have battled time and despair, the greatest things that man can fear. Now lift your head up to the sky. Your dream ends here, your last goodbye.